Okay, so we're going to look through the 9th of January 2019 paper that you've just taken. When you do this, you'll find that you always start with section A, which is like a collection of various random questions about various topics. So these are usually 1-mark questions, and you should be looking just to answer these with a variety of facts that you know. The rest of the paper will consist of probably 4 other sections, each one which will have its own scenario, and you answer questions based on those. This section you should be aimed to getting through very quickly, in 10 minutes or less, and just knocking it off and trying to get as many of these right as you can, because these are basically just factual answers. So, starting at question 1, what is the first phase of the project life cycle? Well, we know that the life cycle is initiation, planning, execution, evaluation. So the first phase, initiation. If you're worried about your spelling, don't get too panicky at this point. They will allow misspellings on this, but make sure it does actually say something that looks like initiation. The client needs to have a deliverable product by the end of March. What type of constraint is this? Remember, a constraint means a limitation on what we have to do. So this is a time-based constraint. Constraints can be time, money, resources, those kinds of things, the law. And in this case, the fact that we're talking about time, it's a time-based constraint. Figure 1 shows what happens to data collected from a survey. We have data, it has structure and context. Data with structure and context becomes information. Data are the raw facts. We'll find that out a bit later on as one of the other answers in the paper. When we add structure to it, in other words, we put it into a certain form, we add context, we put it into a situation, then it becomes information. Now we've moved on to a 2-mark question. Identify and describe. Whenever you see identify, you're thinking name something. Then describe. So you'll have 1 mark for identifying a particular wearable technology. Then you're describing it. Now notice we're talking about technology. Remember, you're doing an IT paper here, so you can't be talking about anything mechanical. So we must be talking about something that would have some kind of computer or chip inside it. It's in the healthcare sector. So what sorts of things might be involved in health? Well, the kinds of wearable technologies would be things like Fitbits or heart monitors, those kind of things that a person puts on themselves to see what they're doing. A pulse meter, anything like that. So I'm going to write Fitbit. You are allowed to use the names of specific technologies. If you just wanted to call it something like a wearable health monitor, something like that, or a wearable health sensor, that would be fine. Fitbit's perfectly good. It's a well-known make in the industry. So that's 1 mark for naming it. Now, what does it do? So we describe it. In what way is it giving you some help with your health care? To monitor how many steps you take every day. There you go. Identify, describe. 2 marks. A hacker has maliciously stolen data from you. So this is someone who has stolen data. What type of hat hacking is this? Now remember, there are 3 hats we talk about. White hat hacking is where a person is working for you. They're doing this to test your system for you, and they will tell you if it is not good enough and if they can break into it so that you can sort it out. That's white hat hacking. Grey hat hacking are people who hack into you, but not to steal things, just to prove they can. They have to sort of prove themselves to their friends, sort of thing. Black hat hacking is the kind of hacking that is done by criminals. They deliberately break into your systems, they break your systems in order to carry out criminal activity. Black hat hacking. And notice, by the way, here, that when it asks you a question like this, you notice in every case so far, I've just written down one word whenever it's asked me to give something. Don't bother writing down full sentences. You're just wasting time at this point. The computer system in a business has been attacked and sales figures have been changed. Changed. What type of cybersecurity attack is this? Well, we're talking about a situation where sales figures have been changed. The word we use for changing things is manipulation. Data manipulation is the result of a cyber attack where it changes the data that you have on your system. Okay, continuing with section A. What is meant by the term secure backup of data? Secure backup of data. Now this one's got 2 marks, so we're expecting 2 things to be in here. We've got 2 words, secure and backup. So if we describe each of those and say what they mean, then we're going to get 2 marks. So let's start off with the word backup. Now, don't write down that backup means you back your data up, because you just used the word that's in the question. So if we put down something like making a copy of the data, right, there's a mark. You've immediately described what backup is. Making a copy of the data and keeping it in a safe place so it won't be lost. There's the secure part. That's the backup. By keeping it in a safe place so it can't be lost, there's the secure part. If you wanted to, you could say something like making a copy of the data and password protecting it so that an outsider or an unauthorized person will find it hard to get access to the data. Or if you said something like making a copy of the data so that if the original data was lost, then you would have a backup. There's the secure part of it. Okay, one thing, 2 marks. And lastly, on this section, a magnetic wipe is one method used to securely destroy data on a hard drive. Identify, again, identify, you just have to name. Identify one other secure destruction method that could be used. Obviously, we can't say magnetic wipe because we've already said that one. How else can data be destroyed? Deleting it is not good enough. When you delete data on a hard drive, the data is still there. It just becomes unavailable to you. A good technician would be able to find that data again and use it, which would be unacceptable if it's something like confidential client data. So in order to destroy it, we've got logical and we've got physical methods that could be used. So we could simply say, smash up the hard drive. There you go. That will make sure the data becomes unavailable. That's a physical method. We could shred the hard drive. You can actually get machines that will shred the disk, and so no one will be able to use it again. Those are 2 physical methods that could be used. There's one more logical method. Magnetic wipe is a logical method of securely destroying data. So another logical method is what's called overwriting. So you can get programs that literally write onto the hard drive random garbage over the entirety of the hard drive, which means that whatever was there before is now covered over. Any of those 3 things would get you 1 mark.